we're here to create a better world, first of all, for ourselves, and then for everyone we come in contact with.
Absolutely anything and everything we're facing, desiring, wanting, submit to the law of life.
This is Bob Proctor, and I want to welcome you to this program, Working with the Law. You're going to love it.
This is Mary Mوريسي, and I am thrilled for what can happen in your life and our lives as we deepen our understanding, explore these concepts, and begin to harmonize our lives with the laws that govern the universe.
The Secret has created an enormous awareness worldwide of a law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction's always been here. In fact, over 100 years ago, Orville Wright, who introduced us to a brand new kingdom of travel, he said, "Isn't it astounding that these secrets have been preserved for all of these years just so we could discover them?" And then in 1959, Earl Nightingale, the broadcaster from Chicago, the partner of Lloyd Conant, who started the industry of personal growth through recorded messages, he released the strangest secret record. And he said it was strange that it was a secret. The strangest secret was we become what we think about. And he said it was strange that it was a secret because every great leader who has ever lived have been in complete unanimous agreement that we do become what we think about. They have disagreed on virtually everything else.
I first became aware of the secret when I was really needing to find an answer. And that came to me in 1967, and over time I began to look and discover, and it was in 1973 that I found a man who was teaching the secret from his point of view, who lived in Phoenix, Arizona. He had a seminary, and I was very interested in what he was teaching. I moved with my family, a couple of kids and my kid's dad, and we moved to Phoenix, Arizona so that I could study with him. His name, Raymond Hollowell, the author of the book, Working with the Law.
Well, you know, I first discovered The Secret way back in 1961 when a man named Raymond Stanford sat down with me, and he caused me to take a look at the results I was getting, and they weren't very good. And he suggested that I would be able to change them all if I began to study. Years later, I was led to a book by Raymond Hollowell, Working with the Law.
And it was in 1995 when I'd been working with these principles since 1973 and had grown and developed and produced results that were much more pleasing to me. But at that particular moment in life, I was facing a major hurdle. And at some level of my being, I know I was knocking on the door of the universe asking for help. A woman showed up one day and she said that she had a friend she wanted me to meet, and would I be willing to come to breakfast? I was so busy working on my problem, I didn't really want to go to breakfast. But I liked her, and I wanted to do something she wanted me to do. So I said, okay. That breakfast turned out to be a breakfast that would change my life forever.
And you know, at the same time, that same lady came to me and said she had a friend and she would really appreciate it if I would go to breakfast and meet with her. I didn't really want to go, but I wanted to be a nice guy, so I finally said, okay. I wasn't looking for things to do. So here was two nice people doing something because somebody else wanted them to do it. And that's when Mary Mوريسي and Bob Proctor came together.
And at that particular time, the business I was working on, we looked like we were going to have $1.6 million shortfall that year. And at breakfast, somewhere in the midst of it, Bob asked me, so what's going on? What are you facing this year? And I told him what I was facing. And he goes, oh, $1.6 million, that's nothing. And I went, $1.6 million is nothing? I want to sit at the feet of that thinking and learn how to think that way. And what looked like that huge, huge mountain of challenge dissolved before the end of the year.
Well, do you know, $1.6 million or 106? It really doesn't matter what it is. Nothing's big and nothing's small when you're working with the law. That's what I like. It doesn't take any more effort to go after what we call the big idea than it does the small one. And so that's what we're going to be studying. We're going to be studying how to work with the law. And when you do, your whole life begins to move in harmony with God's laws. I see the law as the uniform and orderly method of the omnipotent God. The law is truly God's modus operandi. It's how things are done. We are created in God's image, so we're here to do God's work. God's work is creation, since God is the creator, and you and I were given creative faculties. So we're here to create a better world, first of all, for ourselves, and then for everyone we come in contact with. And that's what this program, Working with the Law, is designed to do for you.
So as you listen and study, some of the ideas that you have will be challenged. As you grow in knowledge and are able to form better ideas, better opinions, don't hesitate to change your views. Test out the things you're hearing here. Don't accept or discard them without testing them, but at least give yourself the opportunity to apply these ideas and let them prove themselves. Remember, the wise man changes his mind, the fool never. There can be no progress without change, no growth without renewal. So for each one of us, there must be a constant stream of new thought, better thought, truer thought, to ensure progression in our lives. So as soon as you perceive the better, let go of the old. A friend of ours, Jack Boland, used to say, don't let your present good become the enemy of the better. So as soon as you feel something, think something, know something more life-giving, just discard the old idea, the old opinion, and proceed. Proceed to use your thinking faculty and take care that it does not use you, because one of those two things will happen. You either master your mind and guide it intelligently, or your mind will master you and only produce the programs that have been instilled upon it and within it from a world that operates from a scarcity and limited thinking. So as you work both with the ideal, that which you would seek to bring forth, and the practical, which is the application of the laws we'll be studying, you can absolutely count on, just as you can count on a crop to be produced from a well-tended farm, your crop, your life will absolutely produce the results you have planted.
As you work your way through this program, you're going to become acutely aware that all of our problems are mental in nature. They have no existence outside of themselves, and it has been discovered that nearly all will yield up their solution when subjected to a broad and exact analysis. You can acquire this ability by studying the law of life and its modes of expression. Then, by constant effort, use your thinking faculty in constructive ways as you work with these laws. Have good and sound reasons for all the views you hold. As you try to find these, many of your old-time views will fall to pieces. Form clear and definite ideas regarding your convictions as to why you do as you do and why you think as you think. Such practice is like conducting a mental house cleaning. The practice of clear thinking tends to clarify the mind, tones up the faculties, sharpens the perceptions, and will give you a stronger and a better grasp of the basic essentials for a larger and richer life. Clear and exact thinking is a very great necessity. It is, in fact, a sure means to advancement on the material as well as the spiritual planes of life. A line of distinction, however, should be drawn between mere surface thought, that is, ordinary, trivial, and commonplace thinking, and real thought, which is associated with the understanding of truth. The latter is deep thinking, which arouses dormant powers, quickens the perceptions, and leads to the enlargement of understanding. The former is but a passing phase of mental activity, while the latter governs the life of the individual. Now, the shallow surface thought which we give to the ordinary duties and small things of daily life is not the thought that's going to transform our character, develop our mind, or change our destiny. It is the positive, deep, and penetrating thought that comes from profound and strong conviction, born of a higher perception and a clearer realization of the truth. The surface idea is not the real thought. The inner convictions, which control your aims, desires, and motives, constitute the real thought of the individual and wholly determine the course of your life and your personal destiny. Psychologists tell us that every individual is controlled by his convictions, whether he is aware of it or not. Such convictions largely determine the nature of your thinking. The inner thought, coming from the heart, represents the real motives and desires. This is what you want to really pay attention to.
This process entails some effort, but all this effort is highly constructive. It leads to a steady increase of your power, your authority to bring about a life that is meaningful and fulfilling to you. You cannot get the most out of these lessons by just listening to them or reading them once or twice. They should be listened to and read often. Study them with scrutiny, and you will find that with each listening and each reading, something is clearer to you than ever before.
Now let's get busy with working the law. The question uppermost in the world of thought today is whether you have the capacity, equipment, and power to control your life. Whether you can be what you want to be, or whether you're a drop in a great ocean of life. Millions are affected by unemployment, poverty, and want. There's a lot of problems around. Can you solve those problems?
Any belief can be contagious, and a fatalistic belief has a fatal contagion in it. When we submit to the influence of that kind of believing, the circumstances around us are stronger than the power within us, and we become defeated before the race is run. In the history of humankind and the biography of man, there is a long list of evidence of people overcoming circumstances and meeting the problems of life. Evolution and anthropology alike furnish this truth, that you and I are responsible for what we become. We have the power to control our experience, and by using this power, we have created other circumstances more necessary to our upward climb. Yet some of us, not sure that we create our circumstances, are rather prone to think that these circumstances are created by heredity or karma or the environment or numerous external things. These are the reasons that some of us think are the responsibilities of our failure. We've come to believe that the natural limitations in life are really something that comes at us rather than something that comes from us. The scientist, on the other hand, searching into the mysteries of human life, reveals to us a wonderful world of power, possibility, and promise, and tells us that that wonderful world of power, possibility, and promise is within us, because within us is the mind, and the mind is the creative cause of all that transpires in the experience and the life of you and me. The personal conditions that you experience, that I experience, are the direct result of the actions of mind that you and I wield with every thought we think. We never make a move of any kind unless we first form some image or plan in the mind. These plans or ideas are powerful and they're potent. They are causes, good, bad, or indifferent, of the following effects, which in turn correspond to their natures. We learn that ideas liberate tremendous energy. Hence, we can learn to employ our minds constructively, and we can learn to correctly use these hidden powers, forces, and faculties. This is the key to success in living life.
Mary, you're so right. There's a marvelous inner world that exists within each of us. And the revelation of such a world enables us to attain, to achieve anything we desire within the bounds or limits of nature. Raymond Hollywell pointed out that he believes the reason the famous English literary genius, William Shakespeare, is the leading dramatist of the world lies in this realm. The great Greek dramatists, with their noted insight, always saw the causes in some external fate or destiny that brought about the downfall of their characters. But Shakespeare saw something within man as the cause of his failure or success. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are the underlings. We see Hamlet wrestling with his reluctant, indecisive soul, Macbeth in being pulled and driven by his ambition, Othello torn and discomforted by his jealousy. Always the characters were battling their inner selves, as though the dramatist were saying, "You are the master of your circumstance. Call forth your power, initiative, and ingenuity, and be the master. Fate is in your hands. Determine it. If every man has the power and privilege to determine his fortune, what is that power? How can we recognize it?
So if all the conditions in our lives are the result of our actions, and all our actions are the outcome or the fruit of our ideas, then our ideas must determine the conditions of our daily lives. An idea is a thought or a group of thoughts. An idea is an image or a picture in the mind. There must have been an idea or a mental picture back of every well-known achievement and invention. From the beginning, this is the creative plan. Out of the void, God said, and there was an idea, and then that appeared. We read in the first book of the Bible that the great architect, the God, the grand overall designing principal presence of this entire universe, saw a finished pattern or idea before it came to be. There was a mental picture established within the mind of the universe, the mind of the creative power, before it became a reality on the without in some form of a creature or creation. Now, the first time that this really became aware to me, this powerful law, this powerful idea that there is a law at work and I'm in it, I'm of it, the shift that occurred in me was so dramatic. I went from life was happening to me and I was a victim of every circumstance that seemed to happen that I didn't like. And someone introduced me to the idea that no, life is proceeding through me and by me, and the way I shape my idea changes my experience. And they suggested that I begin to amplify my understanding, because I had a cognitive understanding of it, but I didn't yet have any way to apply it, was that I would begin practicing whenever anything happened that I didn't quite like, was to just pause, take a breath, and then choose consciously what I would think about it, and to choose to think a thought that meant I got to choose what I would make out of that experience rather than that experience making out of me.
Every architect and builder follows the same plan, whether they're building or planning a house, a bridge, an institution, or their own life. Every person is his own designer and builder, like the Creator. He makes his creations within before they materialize on the outside. All fears of sickness, poverty, and old age are impressions, ideas, and mental pictures long before they become painful realities. Every idea and mental picture must produce after its own kind. Whether the picture is good or bad, the law determines it so. The law does not question or challenge the kind of picture we give to it. It only knows that it must take what is offered or planted and then proceed to materialize it in a visible form. Now, some people can visualize great engineering achievements, yet they do not know by the same method they can overcome their diseases and despairs and enjoy the health and happiness that they long for. Mechanical engineering is the same as mental engineering. They are both dependent wholly upon a creative intelligence. Mental photography, like mechanical photography, produces exactly what it sees. A picture of a homely, unsightly person never turns out to look like a beauty pageant winner, nor does the little, short person look tall and large on a photograph. A picture of black will not be white. Neither can negative, destroying ideas produce constructive and positive results. If the ideas are negative, they in turn will create negative results.
So as we begin to assimilate in our minds these ideas or mental pictures, we knowingly or unknowingly exercise the power to produce them. This creative process continues working day and night. It doesn't sleep until the idea is completed. We cannot picture thoughts of poverty and failure and disease and doubt and expect in return to enjoy wealth, success, health, courage. It just can't be done any more than the photographer can take a picture of a house and produce a picture of an ocean. This creative principle is summarized in a sentence found in Proverbs. And that sentence is this: "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." You may have read or heard that statement before. It's been taught and expounded by philosophers around the world and throughout every age. You may have tried to prove the statement by ridding from your memory all negative thoughts, but because it took determined and persistent effort, you might have wearied. Then you may have dropped back into the old current of conditions and ideas, and if anything, sometimes it seems like things get worse than before. But there is something else you can do.
Others hearing the statement were not impressed, for they could not accept the assertion that all inharmonies of life are the result of their own beliefs, or their past thinking crystallized into beliefs. They prefer to blame this upon something or someone else. Even God is given a share of the blame. There are others who believe that in God's good time, all things will eventually work out to their satisfaction. But that is not so. These people are planning for a heaven to be gained at some future time, when it is actually a condition and a state of mind that can be had now as well as hereafter. In fact, unless it is gained here and now, it can never be had in the future. At some time in a person's life, they're forced to reckon with this creative law. There is no alternative. Everyone is governed by law, whether they know it or not. Possibly it is the same idea that some have concerning prayer. They think it is God's fault or will or desire when they do not get the answer they seek. They use God as their scapegoat, an excuse when their prayers are unanswered, or when they are unable to explain some act of God or nature. God's will be done is one of the most overworked and least understood statements in our day. Some use the idea as a crutch to lean upon, when in reality it is a powerful bridge over which man may cross the deepest chasms and mysteries. It is man's failure if his prayers are unanswered. The creative law is ever ready to answer and cannot fail to respond when approached rightly and wisely. At the moment that a person is able to contact and realize the law, they will at once enjoy the benefits. It is the realization of the law in action that determines manifestation. We're operating with a limited level of conscious awareness. Now, because we have studied this for close to 50 years, we may have a greater understanding than the masses in many cases. However, there's all kinds of things that we don't understand. And like the people that we're working with and that we're teaching and mentoring and coaching, we too have to continually study and gain a greater understanding. We definitely don't understand all there is going on. We do understand everything does happen by law, whether we like it or not. This whole universe operates in a very exact way. So the fact that we don't understand something doesn't discard the law. The law is there and it always works, whether you like it or understand it or not.
This is so powerful, Bob. Just like an electrician, for example, does not pray and then wait for the electric energy to make up its mind to serve him. He learns firsthand the laws of conduction and transmission in order to know how to cooperate with the law that governs electric energy. And after gaining this knowledge, that person can go ahead and set up the machinery which provides the means to generate and then direct that power. Then that person can snap a switch and operate giant machines, create heat, set in motion countless other devices, or flood a room with light. Everyone can do this, not once, not twice, but as many times as we choose, as long as we do not disturb the mechanics or violate the law governing the energy. And the same principle holds true in all sciences, including the science of being, the science of life. There is a scientific way of thinking about everything, a true and right way that prevents the needless waste of struggle, mental energy, and produces results that are in harmony with our greater good at every turn. Now, that doesn't mean we will always recognize our greater good, but when we have the right attitude and we are seeking only that which is good, even when we are surprised, we can trust that that is a good we haven't yet just understood, but in time will present itself in a way that is the most remarkable good we could, even when it looked like a loss. And I have, and you do too, have experience with that. So as we're saying this to you, know that we're saying it to ourselves as well. There is a scientific way of thinking about everything. The quality of results produced by the individual thinker may be good or bad or indifferent, and may be determined by conscious direction and choice, or the lack of such, and some results are experienced as harmonious and favorable, and other results are discordant and unfavorable, and there may be a medley of a whole. It's absolutely essential for each one of us to learn to give intelligent direction to the creative powers of the mind to obtain the best and the most life-giving results in a particular sphere of active expression, meaning your relationships, your health, your business, your finance, that whatever sphere of expression you would like to activate, to amplify, to experience more freedom and fulfillment in, then we must learn. It's up to you and it's up to me to learn how to give intelligent direction to the creative power that is moving through and with me and you right now.
Thinking is a perpetual process. It isn't something that just happens once and then a break. It is a creative function of life that is ever going on. We're engaged in it, and we're producing results of some kind every hour, every day, as long as we live, registering within ourselves the exact effects of all our thinking. While we cannot stop thinking or stop the thought process of flowing, we possess the supreme privilege of being able to determine the sort of results it is desired to experience by regulating the form and quality of our thought. How this is done in a simple and effective manner is explained throughout these particular sessions that we're studying. Our main objective is to arouse you to think for yourself, to cultivate your powers, and thereby take the sure path of self-development and true culture. The great self-evident fact, which cannot be too often repeated, is that when we change our thinking for the better, we automatically change our life for the better. Modern psychology has conclusively demonstrated that a change of thought must precede every change in the life and in the affairs of ourselves, of you, of me. In the course of our studies, we have discovered that the more a mind is undeveloped, the more materialistic or lower its individual point of view. While the more developed the mind, the higher its individual point of view. It does not follow that because a person is worldly wise and has retained a large number of facts and experience, such a one has a well-developed or highly evolved mind. On the contrary, that person may have an underdeveloped mind and be largely dominated by the lower instincts. Narrowness of thought, limited views, prejudiced convictions, and materialistic opinions are signs of a lack of real development. Breadth of thought, width and tolerant views, wholesome convictions, and expanding conceptions are signs of growth. The small mind, however, need not remain small or undeveloped. It can grow and expand and ultimately become great. The path is clear and simple. Let such a one form his own clear conceptions and strong convictions from the loftiest point of view he can reach, and then proceed to think and act accordingly. Advancement will follow as a natural sequence. The law is that the mind is no greater than its conceptions.
So as you and I learn to improve and enlarge our ideas or mental pictures, to improve and enlarge our thinking, our life falls in form with this, just as if we moved the camera and took a different picture. But learning how to do this is what working with the law is all about. Understanding first that there is a law of life. And when we ask ourselves, well, if there is a law of life, then what is the law's intention? We can consider this in a 15 billion year history on this planet alone. If we pay attention, there is an orderly sequence to the progression of life. There is the development of awareness, and it surfaces in the life of humankind. This entire universe is a spiral universe. Our very DNA is a spiral, and there is the pull of becoming that runs concurrent throughout the entire universe. That pull of becoming is in you, and it's in me, ever calling our awareness upward in the spiral of becoming. And the way we move upward upward in the spiral of becoming is being true to that pull of becoming. Now, it speaks to each one of us uniquely according to our own level of consciousness and where we are at the time of hearing that pull. So it might speak to us about a longing for a relationship to be deeper, more expansive, or free from struggle. It might call to us about an aliveness in our body and a freedom from pain and limitation. It might speak to us about yearning to travel or to give our gift in making a difference for good in the world. It might speak to us about wanting freedom from financial constraint. But that pull of upward becoming speaks to us in a language we can understand that is congruent with the life we are living and the possibility of the next expanded version of life expressing itself through us. The will of this law of life is forever and greater expression and freedom. And that law of life is at work in you and it's at work in me. Now, when our intention, my intention, becomes reconciled and cooperative with the universal intention, when your intention becomes reconciled and cooperative with the universal intention, then we become an expression of that good. This is working the law. And this is Raymond Hollowell's first chapter. He's saying there is a way to work with the law of life and not fight the current of becoming, not try to force the current of becoming, but to work with the current of becoming. When our intention is as the universe's intention and not just a mere personal caprice or trying to do something just for ourselves, but understanding that we're part of something that is magnificent and eternal and infinite and good, then so can our lives be an expression of that good.
And what we've really got to grasp, that all failures in life, are due to taking part with the finite around us. In other words, being earthbound and letting the outside world control us. All success in life is due to taking sides with the law within us. Thus, working with the law may be considered the same as taking the law into our mind and lives as a silent partner. We are then conscious of the source and creator of all power and realize and receive the many benefits that surround us.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
I do too, to think about, and it's real. This is real, to have the law of life, the presence of all that is, be a silent partner in us and working with us. Now, if you or I are searching or grasping for something that's going to be a shortcut method to just solving everything, and we're not willing to move with the ever upward progression, not willing to learn to think differently, work with the laws of life differently, then this will not work for us. But there is an opportunity here in these lessons for us to understand how we can harness the power that's within us towards greater good. And in fact, that is what each of us is here to be and do. Life with all its attributes of good is something that doesn't just happen to touch a fortunate few. You have life energy in you. It's simply seeking your awareness and the direction for that good that is in you, around you, to be made manifest through you in a particular way that is uniquely suited to what it is that occurs and feels to you to be good. We can realize from this lesson that every one of us has a capacity. We have the capacity to bring forth what we will, be it great or be it little, because we can think. And in our thinking, we create desires. We create ideas. All that's required comprises the ideas and the thought seeds that we plant then in the soil of the mind. We have the power, for the universal power of mind is endowed within each and every one of us and all creation. All that we may ever desire can be ours for the asking if we correctly apply the law of life and understand what this means.
I think Raymond Hollowell brings this session in for a beautiful three-point landing here when he said, when a circumstance arises, we are not to come under it, to submit to it in servitude. We are to surmount it, to overcome and master it by exercising the creative law of thinking, and thus grow in wisdom and power.
And I hope that each of you will join us in making a commitment to work with these ideas. The poet Rumi from the 13th century said, "It's as if a king has sent you into a far and distant land with one specific task to accomplish. You could accomplish 100 other things, and if you fail to accomplish the one thing for which you have been sent, in the end, it will be as if you have accomplished nothing. It's as if a king, the God, the grand overall designing principle, presence, power of this universe, sent you and me into a far and distant land, planet Earth, human birth, one specific task to accomplish: the discovery and the delivery of who we really are as sons and daughters of this universe, of life itself, in all its beauty and wonder and glory and power. We could accomplish 100 other things, and the world will convince us of little things we need to do. But if we fail to discover and deliver who we really are, in the end, it will be as if we've done nothing. Working with the law shows us how.
Mary, I believe we're here to become aware of our oneness with God. We're here to grow. This is Bob Proctor.
And Mary Morici. Thank you.